See guys, okay, so I'm not sure how many of you folks are there on this, but let's get started, and if you have any questions, you can bother me on this chat window. See, I'm myself Satish, and I hold around close to some 9 years of experience into IT industry, and primarily I was working as a SQL and PL SQL developer, and from past close to 4.5 years, I've been working on to this BI reporting world, and actually, just only working on this reporting tool called QlikView. So I just work for a number of multiple implementations in my current company, and we work in Bangalore called a company with Sapient. And prior to this, I was just working with some other company with Tech Mahindra. Basically the minor SM or something. And later at this point of time, the current implementations which are working is for a US client, typically for this. And the rest of the clients, we just also doing some couple of POCs on Tableau and Spotfire and some ClickSense and some of the high charts kind of a visualization tools or something like that. So let me get started with this demo, and let's see what else can be done out of this QlikView and what it can do and what it cannot. And let's also see some pros and cons of QlikView. So what it can really do this and what it cannot do this and at this point of time. And let's also compare the tool with the other kind of traditional tools which are already available in the market and the upcoming tools here. Okay, so now I'm just skipping all this part here. So I hope you guys are pretty aware of this complete warehouse thing and this one. If you guys are pretty much not clear, let me know. I can touch base about these points for some time in the first class. Okay, so let's get started with QlikView. So before getting really started with QlikView, so first of all, before we jump into what QlikView is or something, so let's talk about what is the main purpose of any reporting tool in the IT industry. So the main purpose of a reporting tool using it any point of time in the IT industry is just want to know that there is a business data, which is obviously in the database for the client database. So you need to just want to go and visualize that kind of a report. So you cannot do anything without any reporting tool. So the user cannot able to get anything out of looking at the raw data in the database. So for that purpose, there might be n number of reporting tools in the market which can convert that raw data into a better visualized format in terms of a graphs or charts or something like that, which gives much more understanding to the user if they see in the presence of a visualization. So everything can be talked in terms of the high-level visualizations, in terms of widgets or charts or some kind of high-level KPIs or something like that. So raw data, no one can do anything. Either you or me or either a business guy or someone. So if you just represent it in the form of a representation, that makes much more appealing to the user. So that's the reason of using any of the reporting tool in the IT industry. And one such kind of a tool which we're going to talk here in this session is the QlikView. So let's talk about what is QlikView and what QlikView made popular or something like that. So QlikView is basically from a company called Qlik. So previously it was QlikTech, now they just renamed to Qlik. And now there are two providers from Qlik. One is QlikView and another one is ClickSense here. So now let's talk about QlikView here. So QlikView is something which is not a new tool. This has come up in the early 90s, 1993, 94. If you see, it's 2015 now, and it's a time period of already there is some more than 20 years at this point of time. So the tool has something which is not a new tool which has come up recently in the market and showing its importance. This is a very old tool. It's a very, very old tool. So now let us list out some common features which made QlikView more popular in the recent times. So one is the cost effectiveness. The cost is pretty much low when compared to the other traditional BI reporting tools. Traditional BI reporting tools in the sense something like Cognos, MSBI, MicroStrategy, SAP BO, something like that. Okay, so you're saying the cost is pretty much low. Okay, that's totally agreed. Maybe cost is something which you can measure in terms of the figures or something. That's okay. As the cost has come down, the value has been doubled here. The value add has been doubled here on terms of this reporting world. Okay, so the third point which we need to spend some time here is the time taken to implement. So time taken to implement what? What time to implement? Time taken to implement the reports and dashboards is pretty less when compared to the other traditional BI reporting tools. Okay, let me take a pause here and understand what is the reason why are we making such kind of a comment here. Okay, so before going and jumping on to this point, what is the main purpose of using Java? To just build some kind of a coding in terms of the VA, the UI features or something. The same thing applies for a UX developer as well. The purpose is to just show the better web pages, in terms of the visualization part in terms of the web pages. The same thing for a ETL guy. So extraction and transformation and loading the data into a warehouse. This is not going to change. maybe the tool might be changing, but the logic or the business functionality or the high level flow of the respective systems will not change. Any tool will do the same set of activity. So let's say for an example, if you take an ETL tools like Informatica, Ab initio, Data Stage, or some other tool like SAP BODS. So all these are ETL tools, something which can do extraction, transformation, and load into a warehouse. That flow might not change. Only the scripting language that might change from where it, or the options might, or the functionalities might change in the tool, like this transformation, that transformation, naming of this, or something like that. Okay, so the same thing should apply for a reporting tool as well. Any purpose of a reporting tool is to just take the data and build the visualization to the user. Then what are you saying here? Why time taken to implement is pretty less here. The way QlikView operating in the real-time world is completely different. So QlikView is slightly unique to other reporting tools here. QlikView has its own set of the ETL activity here. That means QlikView can bypass the ETL guy and they can build the report. So come on, hold on. So what you're trying to say here is there is no such kind of ETL activity going on. Okay, no, it's not about that. You identify me one database, you're the business database where I need to fetch this information. I'll go and fetch the information. If at all any transformations are supposed to be performed, I can do some kind of a transformations. Because QlikView has the ability to fetch the data from multiple data sources, and it can also perform some transformations to some extent. Transformations in the sense a lookup kind of a transformation, something like a joining of a tables, fetching the data from multiple sources, handling the null values in the source, or it can also do an incremental loading, which the typical ETL tool can do. So pretty much 40 to 50% of the ETL activities can be done in the ETL layer, which has in QlikView here. And once the ETL activity is done, you can also build a model. So building a model in the sense how your fact and dimension tables are getting associated. And then you can go and build the reports or dashboards. When the same report, you can also publish to the user. Okay, that means a normal QlikView developer, if you identify where to pick the data, from where you're going to pick this data from the business data, he or she can build that report and can publish to the business user, end user. That means clearly you can see there is no dependency either on a deep database guide or a ETL guide, or neither of the administration guide as well. Most of the activities in the administration can be done by QlikView developer. And almost end-to-end from source till target, the process what we discussed till this point of time can be achieved by a normal QlikView developer. Okay, so in that way, the time taken to implement the reports and dashboards in QlikView is very less. Okay, so that's the reason I made a comment here. The time taken to implement is pretty less when compared to other traditional BI reporting tools, because QlikView operates is slightly different here, unique. Okay, but these are not the real-time factors which made QlikView more popular. These are something which is related to the tool aspects. I mean, this is how the tool is operating, and this is how the tool is marketing in the market. The two main real-time factors which made QlikView more popular is the in-memory and the agile BI. Typically, agile methodology is something we can refer that. Okay, so what is in-memory? First of all, what is QlikView? Oh, QlikView is a basic reporting tool. Okay. So what kind of, can I make something like a BI reporting tool? It's a business intelligence reporting tool. Okay, so what else, what else you can make the statement more precise and complete? Yeah, QlikView is the in-memory BI reporting tool. So what is in-memory? So in-memory is something reading the data from the RAM instead of reading it from the hard disk. Again, a question here. If we are already, the data is already in hard disk, why don't you directly get from the hard disk? Why do you want to copy to temporarily to RAM, and from RAM you need to pull the data? So if you are doing in that way, the data retrieval ratio will be pretty much higher. Okay, RAM is a temporary storage of data in the memory. You can pull the data pretty much fastly. So I'll tell you a best example. I have 10 lakh records of data in my typical fact table, in a transaction table. I'm using an Oracle database. I'm trying to fire a statement, SQL statement. Select star from table name. Okay, at that point of time, what exactly happens is the 10 lakh records of information will be retrieved. Let's say an example, it is going to take some 10 minutes of time to do that in a typical 20 columns of data. Okay, so at that point of time, if you are using the same tool with the QlikView, which is built on in-memory, you can retrieve the data in 10 seconds of time. We'll see in future classes how that can be achieved practically, but that is how it is happening in the current world. Okay, so in-memory, the purpose of using in-memory is to just make sure that the data retrieval ratio is pretty much higher. Okay, and agile methodology. So most of you guys might already been working on some of the companies or across the companies. You guys might be following some kind of a models. Prior to agile, people used to follow some kind of a V model or a waterfall model. What exactly are those? I mean, V model or a waterfall model. So it's something like a process where you just need to follow to deliver the solution to the client. I cannot simply, if I'm owning a company, I got a project from the client. I cannot go and simply build it and test it and then send it to production. There should be some different process to follow that, right? Some kind of a coding standards, some kind of a process and how you're managing the work and everything. So ultimately, we cannot rely on a person. We should has to be rely on a process. So those kind of a processes as a practice, standard practice, which is there in all our IT organizations. Okay, so prior to this, people used to follow some kind of a V model or a waterfall model earlier days, in the sense 2-3 years back. Now the entire world has been moved to Agile. Out of 100 companies, 95 to 97 companies are already using Agile methodology. Okay, first of all, what is Agile methodology? Agile methodology is something typically where you have an iteration. Each iteration consists of some respective stories, and each stories are nothing but the requirements, and those requirements consist of an acceptance criteria. And those acceptance criteria talks about what needs to be implemented or developed. So for an example, I can show you sample story. Yeah, you can see here, so there are some couple of stories written here, how you want to do this. I just want to enable the user to view the sales dashboard page. Okay, so how do you want to navigate? I mean, if you want, I can maximize this. If you can see here, verify the user navigate to this respective page. I mean, user can go to sales dashboard and he should be able to see the respective links, action links over there, and should also be observed that there is a high level KPIs involved in that. So these kind of stories usually indicates that what needs to be implemented. Acceptance, you can see there is acceptance, and these stories are nothing but the requirements. And when you upload it to some Explainer or a Jira, they get an automatical story ID here. So we just kept it as a blank here. Okay, so these are some of the kind of stories what you can see here. I mean, so these stories talks about what needs to be implemented. Okay, so in the prior days, right, people used to deliver some solution to the client in a month of time using that model like a V model or a waterfall model. Now everything is being break down into small pieces of code, and we are delivering the solution to the clients in a weeks of time in one iteration or typical 2 weeks or something like that. Okay, so why are we talking about all these processes? These are the main real-time factors which made QlikView more popular. Being in this current competitive world, even I am also forcefully, as a consultant, forcefully driven to follow Agile methodology. So to really deliver Agile methodology, I really require some super fasting reporting tool which can retrieve lakhs and data in seconds of time. See, you are saying that in 2 weeks iteration, I need to go to connect to database, I need to fetch the data, I need to perform some transformations in my, need to build a model, and on top of that, I need to go and build the reports. This is something which is end-to-end, and once the report is built, it needs to publish it to the user. So these are all the things I cannot finish it off in an iteration point of time. I totally understand that. You don't worry, there will be a separate level of effort which will be calculated for both ETL activity, what you are doing at QlikView, as well as the modeling activity. Okay, so these kind of all the activities what you are using it here, right? So it will be breakdown into a form of an iteration. Okay, so being in this current competitive world, even as a consultant, everyone is forcefully driven to follow Agile BI in the current times. To do that, at this point of time, in the challenging, demanding world, the people really require some super fasting reporting tool to do that. Okay, one such kind of a tool I'm using is the QlikView. Let me make it one clear. This is only one such kind of a tool. There are a lot of tools in the market which is built on in-memory. We'll talk about that as well. Okay, so this is the main reason why the QlikView has become more popular here. And the reason, there are also many statistics here, guys. See that in the previous days, right, there is a huge volume of data. But right now, there is a very less volume of data. There is no that huge volume of data, because there are no pretty much online transactions. But now today, if you see, the guy who is sitting in a village also trying to do an online shopping. Okay, so that's how that's where the world has been moved in. I mean, the data has been captured. I mean, how they're doing the analysis and how they're doing in the Flipkart or Snapdeal. So everything is captured over there. I mean, basically. So everything is pretty much captured over there. So the data in terms of the high data, I mean, you can just go back and see the data, the level of extent it has moved to the big data level. Okay, so to do all these kind of activities to get this huge volume of data, we should obviously have some super fasting reporting tools. I cannot go and rely on some of the old traditional tools, man, which is taking a lot of time to load this data. Let me make you one thing clear. Any report in the current world should not take more than 10 seconds to display that to the user. If it is displaying more than 10 seconds of time, then there is no point of doing the report. The business ideal strategy for displaying the report is 10 seconds. Any report has to come up in 10 seconds point of time. It should not take more than that. If it is really taking, that means something is going on. You have to go and fix it. Okay, so now let's take a pause here. I would like to put one more question here. You are saying this tool has come up in 93, 94, and this has become famous due to X reasons and that reasons. It was doing that, it was doing this. This tool has come up in the early 90s, right? Why it has not shown its importance till this point of time? You are saying this tool has this many features, it is built with in-memory, and it is having the flexibility of handling the ETL and the model, and it also can build the reports and publish it to the user easily. And why can't it really show its importance at that time? Why all of a sudden it is growing popular in the recent times? Okay, so now there are different set of comments onto this respective question here. First thing is, there is a RAM cost involved here. In-memory is something involved with a RAM cost. In 93, 94, when the tool has come up, the RAM cost is pretty high at that point of time. Imagine buying a desktop or a laptop in 93, 94. Oh, the RAM cost is pretty huge at that point of time, which has not given much encouragement to the people to buy this in-memory technology. But now the RAM cost has drastically come down, which is giving more encouragement to in-memory technology. Okay, agreed on one point. And the second reason, the reason why the tool has not become more popular is there is no business need there. What I need to say is, first of all, I understand you are giving a super fasting reporting tool in 93, 94. But do I have business data? In 93, I hardly have online transaction. And what will I do with this kind of a reporting tool? So where do you want me to store the data? I don't have that much of online transaction. Even if you see the leading bank in India, SBI doesn't have an online transactions in 97. Then where's the point of storing the data? Where do you want me to manage the data? I'm buying with that kind of a cost in 93 and 94, with no business need. What will I really do? See, we should not go and buy a tool that as something simply it's keep on demanding in the market. Ultimately, it should suffice my business need. Then whatever the features you are giving, there is no real point if it is not satisfying my business need. So you might be a tech guys and you might be looking in terms of technology. But business guys, insufficiency is something like they just keep on seeing that whether is it really adding value to the business. So it doesn't really make any sense at that point of time because I don't have that kind of a data to handle, man. What kind of super fasting it can do in terms of in-memory with this kind of a cost? I cannot really spend at that point of time. So there is a RAM cost involved and there is also some kind of a business need. I mean, there is no business need at that point of time. And one of the main other thing is QlikView from itself has some set of a memory leakage defects, something like a RAM storage in terms of data storage and in terms of the functionality wise, it also has some limitations at that point of time. All the versions has been, the defects, everything and the memory leakage issues, everything has been fixed up in the year 2007, 2008. That's the reason from there it has really picked up and it's showing its importance. Okay, so till that point of time, see, any tool from the day one, it cannot be stabilized thing. Okay, so when tools, people start using it and find some effects and it can become some stable to some level, I mean to some 4 or 5 years, it's going to really take some point of time. Okay, so these all features factors has really made the QlikView not to show its importance till the recent times here. Okay, so now let's quickly jump in and talk about what exactly this kind of in-memory tools which are already available in the market, something like. So why should we only use a QlikView? So even is only QlikView built on in-memory? No, we also have some other technologies which are built on in-memory. So one such good example is a SAP HANA. So there is a product from SAP, something like a HANA, which is a high performance analytic appliance. So this is going to meet my solution. Let me go and check that. On the high level flow of the HANA, you can see there is any source where you can pick the information and where it can use a replication agent, something like a ETL tool here, the SAP BODS, and it can store the data into HANA database. And you can connect to this HANA database and you can build some visualizations. Okay, makes sense now. But I just want to check one thing here out of this one. What exactly I can get out of this HANA? When you are picking the data from any of the source, it is acting as a replication agent using an ETL tool. That means there is a ETL tool involved, and I can do all kind of transformations. Okay, and I can also store the data into its own database called HANA database, and I can build the reports like a reporting tool. But nowhere I mentioned that QlikView has its own database, and QlikView needs to integrate with some other reporting tool. So nowhere I mentioned that. The purpose of HANA is different, and the purpose of the QlikView is different. HANA is an appliance which can offer more than one solution to the client, but QlikView is purely a reporting tool which can build a visualization. It is not recommended to compare QlikView with SAP HANA. And one more reason why we should not compare is QlikView typical license will come up for 1,10,000 INR. But whereas the same installation cost of SAP HANA is going to take some 5.5 to 6 crores for a single server license on a typical installation platform in SAP HANA in the real-time system. Okay, so there is also a cost effectiveness in the process, and everything is the way the HANA marketing is different, the QlikView marketing was completely different. It is not ideally recommended to go and compare HANA with QlikView. Okay, what do you mean to say is there is no other reporting tools in the market or in the real time which can be in competent and in sync with QlikView? No, we do have some couple of competitors with other than QlikView. Okay, so there are some tools with Tableau and Spotfire which are purely a reporting tools, and it can be in sync with the Agile, and it is also built in memory. Okay, now let's quickly take a pause here and see what else we can achieve out of this comparison. You can see I just made some comparison out of my experience. You can see the powerful data modeling technique. So there is a data modeling technique in QlikView where it can resolve the most of your modeling issues. Okay, so I'll just show you a better thing here. See, so there is a modeling layer in QlikView where you can go and do a modeling, powerful data modeling. So which is lagging with other two reporting tools like Tableau and Spotfire. The implementation speed is excellent in QlikView. Again, I'm going back to the same time to driven the report. The reason why we code as excellent is Tableau and Spotfire requires a dedicated ETL guy to build the model and give it to him. Then they'll connect and then they'll build the visualizations. Here, there is no point here. Even being a QlikView tool, I have a modeling layer and I have a scripting layer where I can perform the scripting activity here, and I also can build the visualizations in the presentation layer. Visualizations in the sense I can show you one second in this way. I can build this kind of visualizations in this presentation layer. That means most of the activities I should be able to do it here. Then the implementation speed will really come down at that point of time. So I can really take some less time to build the reports. And the best thing is the customization part here. The customization in the sense you can customize the tool to whatever the level you want. So imagine looking at a bar chart, seeing in this way. I have a bar chart in this way. A bar chart is something which is not displaying anything here. I just can customize the text over here. This is the country, and this is my sales information. This is my cost information. This is my margin information, and this is my margin percentage, something like that. That means you can really customize your expressions over here. I mean, you really no need to go and do that kind of act. The same thing applies here as well. The customization text can be shown over here by writing some kind of expressions in form. If you know good about the mathematics, how to build up some kind of an expressions, you can go and do that. It clearly indicates wherever you have high sales, show with this up arrow, and wherever you have show with the down arrow. Okay, so it's going to do the same thing. Where I have a dip in the sales percentage, it's showing with the down arrow. Wherever I have an increase, it's showing with an up arrow. The same thing at this point of time. So this kind of a customization is pretty much well possible in terms of QlikView, which is lagging in Tableau and Spotfire. And one more customization which I can show it to you guys is the dynamic reports here. So you can really build some quick visualizations. Hey, I really want to just go and check what else I can build out of this report. Because I have a huge volume, I don't want to see this report every time. I only want to see the sales with respect to country and product wise. Then click, it will display only for that data only. Hey, out of country, I just only want for India and USA. Click that only. I want only for products Dell, Nokia. Okay, that means you can customize your report here. I mean, this is the way of dynamically building this report. These kind of things are lacking in terms of Tableau and Spotfire. Okay, so just recently from an ADT client, we got a complaint that they have picked up Tableau as the reporting tool, and they are just facing the complaint that we are not able to build the dynamic reports like what you guys are doing in QlikView. So we just got that comment yesterday, I mean the recent comment from the ADT client. So stating that I cannot do this kind of a visualization in the yesterday's point of dynamic building. And the next one is the price here. So the price is above average price. I mean, I told you 1,10,000. So the Tableau and Spotfire comes up for one license on 1,60,000, 1,70,000 like that. So dashboard support is an excellent kind of a thing in QlikView. So you can build up, numerical kind of a dashboards here. I mean, as quickly as possible. I mean, just click it and on click, you can just go ahead and build the dashboards here. It should not take much time here. And it was good in terms of Tableau and Spotfire and the DB connectivity. So let's take a pause here and let's talk about 2 points, which is completely lagging in terms of QlikView. Yeah, I want to connect to Oracle database. Yeah, you can pretty much go and connect that. That should not be a problem. You can go back here and you can go and connect here, and you can specify the server name, whether it's Oracle or SQL server, and you can do the connection. Hey, I want to connect to SAP HANA. Okay. So at that point of time, there is no connector here. You need to go to the Qlik partner where you purchase your QlikView. You need to get the connector manual and supporting DLL file. You need to install that, and then you need to establish a connection to SAP HANA. But for Tableau or a Spotfire, the connection comes with ready-made. When you open Tableau, on the left-hand side, you can see SAP HANA. You click that, specify HANA server name, user ID, password, click connect, done. So that's still the team is working on the connectivity part. Most probably we are just expecting it may get fixed in the next version. I mean, fixed in the sense it may come up with a better thing on the terms of the connectivity. Okay, so that is something which is still lagging in QlikView, but you can still achieve that. I'm not saying that you cannot achieve that, but there is a kind of a support what you can just really get in terms of the connectivity was really enhanced in case of a Tableau when compared to QlikView. See, it's not fair like we cannot simply keep on talking about the QlikView. Let's also discuss about the pros and cons here. And one more thing is the intelligence in the reports. So the intelligence in the reports is something like just want to build some report here. I just go back and take the same report here. In this kind of a report, I just want to see wherever there is a dip in the sales, I just want to show with the dark red. Wherever I have a dip, increase in the sales, I want to show with the green color in the increase value. Okay, so for that, what you need to do in QlikView is you need to go back to colors tab and you need to put that coloring here. Okay, so you need to put that coloring over here in the presentation. You can see this. This is what the color I use, and the other one is this is what the color I'm using here. Right, so this kind of a customization you should be defining in QlikView. Okay, where there's a dip, you just put this. Where there's a dip, you put this. Okay, or you need to put this in this kind of a representation. Do we have this? Yeah. So if you have an increase, just put with up arrow. If you have a decrease, put with the down arrow. Or wherever you have something with there is a top performers, you just put with a green color. Where there is a degraded performance, you put with a red color here. So you can go back to properties and you can see the background color. You need to put that in. So this is how if it is that put this RGB or this is one RGB. So you need to make the tool intelligent everything on terms of this. But Tableau comes up with an automatic intelligence kind of a building. But the same intelligence report can be achieved in a tool with QlikSense, which is from the Qlik. Okay, that can be achieved in QlikSense. So that will be achieved in terms of QlikSense automatically, but not with QlikView. QlikView, you need to make the tool pretty much intelligent here. And in terms of the UI and visual controls, usually QlikView is the best thing. I mean, you can build a lot of objects in terms of QlikView. You can build easily, I mean, and you can really make use of those kind of reports. I mean, objects. So we'll see the objects class in second class. I mean, okay. So the next one is understanding the scripting level. So this is the main key thing, guys. Understanding the scripting level is pretty easy in terms of QlikView. It's a basic SQL. If you know what is a select statement, what is how do you join, and what is the basics of SQL, you are good in terms of QlikView. But the same thing if it requires for a Tableau, right? So most of the things there is no scripting involved in Tableau, but if there's want to enable the scripting, you need to be knowing about the R programming or a Python language. The same thing for Spotfire, you need to be knowing about the Java scripting. Okay, so this many things are possible here. I'm just having some, there are still many points. You can just refer the blogs like QlikView versus Tableau versus Spotfire. There will be a lot of blogs showing about from the industry experts talking about comparison of these tools. Okay, but on a whole, all these three tools falls on the same line. But the problem with Tableau and Spotify is you need to also be knowing about some of the other activities, something not only with this tool. Alone, Tableau knowledge will not survive you with a Tableau developer or something. But alone, QlikView developer will make you as a positioning as a BI developer in the market. Because we, in the course, what we are doing, we'll be doing the data modeling, we'll be doing the scripting as well as the visualization and also the administration part. So all this pretty much will be covered. So that's why we will be, I mean, alone QlikView developer can go and survive in the market, but alone Tableau knowledge will not suffice the requirement. You still need to be knowing about some ETL tool or some other programming languages or R programming or a Python scripting or something like that. Okay, so I leave that up to you. You can just take that and you are the best guys to do that. And here there are some of the important things here, what QlikView is doing. It has come up in 93 and it's in memory and it makes associative connections. Okay, so it also can retrieve the data from multiple data sources. Multiple data sources means, let's say I have three tables. One table I can fetch from Oracle, another table I can fetch from a database, other table, from an SQL server, other table I can fetch it from an Excel file. That means it can has the ability to pick the data from multiple sources. And it also makes associative connections. Associative connections in the sense, this one. So if you build up some model in terms of this hierarchy, something like a traditional behavior, region, state, product, sales, it really takes a month to change this model. But whereas in QlikView, it is just a minutes of change. Just go back and change that hierarchy. This will not take much time. This is completely the UI-centric kind of a tool. This is purely an IT-driven tool. So this will be more aligned to the flexibility to the user and also to the developer of the QlikView, I mean the QlikView developer. But this one, if at all you want to even put something like a comma or something like a semicolon, the purely IT developer has to do that. Okay, so that's where the clients are more inclined in terms of QlikView. So this kind of facilities which is just offering here. This is one of the main difference of QlikView with other BI solutions. I mean BI solutions in the sense traditional BI. And Tableau and Spotify doesn't come as a traditional. I didn't put it as a traditional those. 1 second guys. Well, let's quickly talk about the architecture part here. And let's close it and then we'll proceed to the course thing what we're going to discuss on that. On the architecture front, right, you can see that the break is pretty straightforward. It has been broken down into three major components: the desktop, the server, and the publisher. So server and publisher we can see at later point of time. So this is what the desktop it is. So where you can build the visualization, where you can do the ETL activity, and where you can build the model here. So pretty much on that front. So the desktop and the server and the publisher part can be covered as part of this course. And the desktop is the key thing where we do the development, designing, and the modeling. And the pretty much on this, this is just the high level. I just put it as a rough notes here. Just want to see that people can understand pretty much easily. As a designer or a developer, you are supposed to build the reports and dashboards and the data in terms of a QVD formatted files. QVD formatted files are something like, if you guys know about other reporting tools, you can assume that as a cubes concept. Okay, so you can just go there and you can go to the publisher, publish these documents, and publish it to the QlikView server, where the user will connect to the server and view the reports or dashboards. So I just put that in the standard architecture from QlikView. There's a desktop where you're publishing all your source documents in terms of QVW and QVDs. QVWs are QlikView workable files or worksheets where it typically contains the reports or a dashboard. This one. .qvw, you can see here. Bullet straight water.qvw. Okay, so you can see here the QVW and there is QVD files. So QVD files are QlikView native format files, which can be readable only with QlikView. And you can see some QVD files over here, .qvd. Okay, so now that is the responsibility of a developer to build the reports in QlikView and to store the data into QVDs. And once we've done that, we can publish the documents to publisher or to QlikView server, where the clients will connect to the QlikView server and he or she will view has respective reports there. Okay, so this is the high level architecture of how QlikView works. This is pretty much the standard architecture. It's pretty straightforward, guys. On the back end, we are just doing the designing and the development and the publishing. On the front end, people are just going and doing the building and just viewing the visualizations as a business user. That's it. And here you can see the clients are able to access via web page or something, and you can also have the flexibility to view via mobile and tablet also. Just visualize that as well in terms of this architecture. Okay, any questions on this front, guys? Till what this we've been discussed. If you guys have any questions, please ping me on this chat window. You can put it here on the chat window here. I will be able to answer to you guys. Or if you want, let me know. I can proceed further and I can just talk about what else will be covered as part of this course.
Yeah, comparison capital design dashboard. What is higher priority? What is higher priority in dashboard designing for QlikView?
See, that's what I'm saying. I told you this is dashboard support here. See, it's not about building the visualization, guys. See, anyone, if I give you a dimension and measure, either it's not you or me, even a 10th class guy can go and build a report. That's a fair statement, right? So the dashboard support in the sense, let's say I do have some kind of a couple of kind of an objects here. Okay, you can see here the dashboard support in the sense, it's not only in terms of building the visualization. It's about how easy for the user to go and navigate that. You can see here, so I'm just showing to the user, please click the below icon to display the filter criteria. So it automatically comes up there with an action link, and from here I can just really see here what are the selections I can make out of this report, what else I can do changes here, and you can see the associative behavior. Whatever selections you are making, I can see from a current selection box here. Okay, and I can also see that data got reduced, and I do want to do a global search here. That's fine, go and do that. It automatically gives this kind of unique kind of a thing. That means the user will be having much more the friendly thing or the much more support in terms of the dashboard. Support in the sense, not in terms of designing for the developer. See, in terms of the BA world, we should not talk about this tool is doing that, this tool is doing that. Every tool at the end of the day has to be compared to the business. See, it might be easier for us to build the visualization in terms of a Tableau or a QlikView, but we should also compare to the user, right? How the user is accessing the report, what is the kind of support he is getting. So these and if I don't want these filters, I can hide this. And I can also build some kind of a dynamic reports here. That's what I'm saying. So if you talk in terms of the functionality, this dynamic feature is still lagging in Tableau. Okay, so I can build this kind of a dynamic reports, and I can also see something where I can just do the selections here. Okay, so the city in terms of the product, and I can whatever the selections I am doing, I can clearly see it here.
Reports, I understand. Comparison Tableau reports, we doing the reports with QlikView is easy, pretty easy. But I have one doubt. If you do the support, every time it will be new window, displaying new window or same current window.
Okay, if I understand you correctly, if the user is viewing the report, every time he will view in the same window or on the current new window. Is that what your question?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to view this reports, right, the user will be able to view the reports in this fashion. Okay, so you can see the dashboard view to the user will look up in this way. Okay, I want to see the main dashboard. No, I just want to see for the tweets here. Okay, so no, you can view it here. I want to see for the social media. So for the social media, you can view the same thing here in the social media. Okay, and pretty much whatever the selection I was supposed to make, I can make it here. So on the main dashboard, I'm just going back to the main dashboard page. You can see there is a high level KPIs build up here. I want to see only for this 2014 map. So do for 2014 on the data will automatically reflect for 2014. I don't want to view for all the months here. I just only want to view for April. So it's gonna automatically sync up for that April. This is how the user can look the report. There will be no separate new page or something. There will be tabs here. Whatever the tabs or sheets you created, right? So you can do that here. Okay, you can view these reports at this part of this thing. I mean, does that answer your question, Shankar? So now let's quickly jump in and go back here. And if you any other questions, guys, I'll take a minute of pause here. And let me know if you have any other questions.
Sir, at the end, can you show me the course content, like how you'll cover one by one?
Yeah, that I'm going to show right now only, just now.
Okay, great, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions, guys?
You can also put in the chat window if you have any queries. If you're not able to talk to the faculty.
Okay, so you can just see here. So I was doing this training from some couple of around close to one and a half year, more than 1.5 years in Bangalore. So I just do pretty much the cover thing, the same thing what I was just doing for the folks. So you can see here The starting will just start on how to get the load data and how you load this data and how we can make the manipulations in a part of a load and SQL statements. Then we talk about the objects in QlikView. What are the different kind of objects you can develop and design in QlikView? How you define the variables and what are the include and must include statements? And what is your set and let operators and how do you rename the fields and how do you create the QED file? And for that matter, how you can create the QED file with the subroutines. See, it's not about building a QED file, it's about how we can go and better reuse this code. Okay, so something like, let's say there is syntax is there to just create a QED file. So I really don't want to go and create a QED file. I just want to go and see the subroutine here. So when I write this, you can see here there is a subroutine. Let me open this for you. Yeah, you can see there is a subroutine over here where it was doing this and it automatically creates a QED file over here. So I'll just do a simple call statement to this. So I need to do this. I mean, how better we can go and reusing the code using this. How we can handle the null values, I mean, for the sources containing a null. How to fetch the information from a web page. And there are some different types of loading here. Maybe it may not be covered in this PPT. I'll open one of the another PPT. One second. Yeah. So you can see here we'll just cover these 7 types of loading. I mean, so with an example, what are the different types of loading and what are the different ways of loading the data. And apart from this, there is also called as a partial reload. Instead of doing a full reload, let's say I don't want to reload all this set of information. I just want to load only some few tables of information. Then you can use a partial reload. And how to build a drilled or and cyclic grouping. If you guys are familiar with the reporting folks, I mean, I think you guys should be knowing about this. So how to build a drilled or and a cyclic grouping and how to use that combination of using the both in one single chart and building a dynamic report. Just before we have seen how we can build a dynamic reports in QlikView. So I just want to select some respective information. I just go and do that. And I can even filter out my data here. Okay, so that I can just, the later point of time, we can talk about the different kind of functions what we have in QlikView and how we can just do that. And the next we'll talk about the power of a straight table. That also you guys would have seen some more widgets here. So how we can go and build some kind of a better visualization in terms of putting up a gauge charts and how we can compare the actual sales versus the target sales. How to handle this kind of use cases. And how to put up the bookmarks. I mean, so the selection will be done and you can store the data into a bookmark. How to get the top performers and bottom detractors. So how to get that. And later comes up the data modeling of how to handle the fact-to-fact associations and how to handle the, to implement the link table situation, how to resolve the synthetic keys and circular reference, something like that. Then we'll talk about the deployment of the project and then we'll talk about the customizations of some of the designing concepts and aggregations and advanced aggregations. So something like pretty important in terms of a function in QlikView, how you can do the roll-up calculation, you can calculate the total minimum values, maximum values, percentages of it. I mean, everything will be done here at this point of time. So how we can do the global expressions, and there is a partial reload. I told you just before how to handle the partial reload, and there are some hierarchy cross-table kind of techniques, and there's an end operation, how you can do the end operation. I mean, how you can really implement that. And there is asset analysis, which is the heart for QlikView. This alone will take around some 3 classes. I mean, alone on the 3 hours point of time it want to take, because without knowing the set analysis, there is no point in learning QlikView or there is no point in going for an interview as well. So because set analysis is the main heart for QlikView, which is the unique feature where you can handle this things. Okay, so we'll just cover some around 13-14 scenarios over there in the set analysis. And next we can implement how, once the development is done, how you can implement the security to this document, QlikView document. And next comes the server publisher management console and access point. And in later point of time, I'll just cover the Sense and Tableau overview as well. So QlikSense is a new tool from Qlik, where how they have got it from QlikView. And I also give you some overview on how Tableau works and how you can build the reports in Tableau. And at the end, we'll also talk about one of the familiar thing, which is a customized kind of building the reports in terms of a QlikView. There is nothing but the D3 visualization. So D3 visualization, in the sense you can just build some kind of these kind of an objects. I mean, external objects, what you can build at this point of time. Okay, so these kind of an objects is something completely we're importing into QlikView and building these reports. How do you go and really build these reports here? Okay, so we'll talk about those things here and how to build the Google Maps and everything. Some might take time to load it, and how you can build up. Hold on a second. There's a Java here. So how do you really go and build up this kind of external objects here? And you can also see some familiar other kind of an objects here. And these are the objects which will be covered, and there is also some other extension objects which you can see here. Yeah. So you can very much see that here. So you can see how we can do this. And these are you can pretty much achieve with the standard objects as well. But there is also other thing like you can achieve with the extension object and the external objects as well in QlikView. So how are we doing that? This is the current recent bubbling thing happening in the QlikView market, and we'll also see how we can connect the QlikView in live to the data. Oh, I'm not sure if I have this. So, organizer, are you able to hear me? Because I was just seeing this message, some network difficulties. Am I audible to you guys? Okay, so these are something, and I see one of the question here. So do you want to have a requirement to do QlikView? Yeah, that I'll tell you in the next class. So it's pretty simple and straightforward. You don't need to spend. And if at this point of time, if you want, you can go to QlikView.com and download that. Okay, so that's about, guys, and that is what we're going to cover as part of the syllabus. So if you have any other questions in terms of this one. Okay, no other questions? Okay, yeah. Okay, guys, thank you very much for the people who have attended this, and thanks for your time, and have a good weekend. Thank you.